realized, I was like, well, if I want to get to be a name in the industry, I got to get out and mingle with these guys. Because during you can't go up and just expect these artists to talk to you while they're working, you know. So I learned not to do that and just catch them at after parties. Because you've been to after parties. Once everybody starts drinking, they're talking and they're just spilling out information. It was perfect timing. So then I started drinking again and mingling and met some of the coolest people I've ever met. It was awesome. Most of your realism guys are working from start to finish each day, you know, where if a smaller traditional piece is being done, it takes, you know, 3 hours, 4 hours, you know, on a 10-day or on a 10, 11-hour day, you know. So if they only have one that day, you know, there's a lot of mingling time, and not so much with the realism guys. You never get to talk to them, you know. They're constantly working. Spent about 5 years teaching myself, and then I had an opportunity to go into a tattoo shop, and I took it. You know, it was quite interesting, really, because somebody I had tattooed was changing oil of a tattoo artist, and gave him a card, said for me to call him. So I call him, and going for an interview tattoo, and they hired me on the spot. And I had no business going into a tattoo shop at that point, like none. You look back and you're like, oh, I'm excited, let's do it, right? I would not hire me then at all, you know what I mean? Like, I was so green that I didn't even use Vaseline. I used Vaseline in a mag for the first time when I went into a tattoo shop. I was doing everything with round shaders and liners and really dry. So it was a tough transition, and then when I went into it, it was like a little trial thing. You know, I was there for a couple days. I called into work Thursday, Friday, went to the shop Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I didn't do one tattoo. So I had a decision to make, you know, either keep doing this or go back to work, because I'm really an all-in kind of guy. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to go all in and do it, you know. So I called my boss, told him I'm not coming back. I'm just going to work here. Didn't do a tattoo for 9 days. And on that 10th day I made almost $900. So I was like, oh shit, okay, that's how it works, you know. So then I just set a goal for myself, made an average of $100 a day. You know, some days you're going to make 300, some days you're not going to make any. You know, if I can make an average, that's $3,000 a month. Back in 2002, that's not bad. You know, so never looked back, never did anything else. You know, I wasn't one of those artists that tattooed on the weekends and did electrical work on the weekdays. You know, that's all I ever did. And then by the 4th year is when I opened my own shop, and just been grinding. And went on the road. I went on the road really early. I used my home address as a shop address so I could get into the shows. Started an LLC, made banners. So when you're on the road, they don't know. You know, I was working out of my house at the time. That was before I even owned a shop or anything. And because when I went into a shop in 2002, I left early, year and a half in. I was like, there's got to be a different way of doing this. You know, I felt like we were slaves. You weren't allowed to leave work. You weren't allowed to be sick. You weren't allowed 7 days a week, open to close. You know, and I was like, there's just got to be a different way. Owner of the shop's showing up in his Miss Me jeans in his nice car, taking 60% of everybody's money, not even working. You know, even though he's a tattoo artist, but he didn't have to work, so he's just pimping us out. And I was like, nah, there's got to be a different way. So I went off onto my own and started doing my own stuff. And here we are.
Yeah, how long have you had the studio here?
I've had ink therapy since 2006. So I think, what's that, 16 years, 17 years or something. And I've been in this building for 11 years now. I've owned 3 of them. I had one in Denver, Colorado as well. And there's 11 of us.
Yeah.
Including me and my brother. My brother's the co-owner. And there's 9 not including us. I've been really big on large shops, congregating a lot of different talents. You know, I don't want to have 15 portrait artists. I don't want to have 11 traditional artists. I want to have a traditional one, a neo-trad guy. I want a realism guy. I want a black and gray guy. I want a surrealism. You know, I want all the genres so we can all collaborate and learn, you know, and always offer to like a painting area, because one of my requirements is that you do a different medium. You don't just tattoo, you know. Yeah, I've been into a few shops where the owners decorate the shop, so you can totally see the owner's perspective and the owner's vibe and the owner's designing. But here, I don't want that. I want you to get that feeling of everybody's, you know.
Yeah, that definitely works well. You get a different feeling at each station, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's beautiful. What's typical of your style of tattooing, Sirris?
Color realism, realism in general. But I bounce back and forth, to be honest. I just like tattooing. So I'll do a traditional piece. You know, I'll even bust out a coil machine here and there. And I still have them. I still, you know, I don't have stainless tubes and needle bars anymore, but I do have coil machines that I'll, you know, bring out every now and then. I just like to challenge myself. So, but mainly realism, color realism.
How did you develop your own style of tattooing?
Through training and painting. I took private painting classes. I would seek out an artist that I liked their style of painting, and I would go train with them. And it was specific styles. Suggestive realism in color with oils. I feel like when you're tattooing realism, the best way to convert to painting is through oils. It's a real similar application and approach, where like traditional is a good approach is like watercolor, you know, or even acrylic, you know, black and gray. You know, a good approach is charcoal. So I do a lot of charcoal stuff to help with my black and gray, and oils for color. Although I haven't put paint to canvas in almost 4 years. Yeah. I just really focused on tattooing.
Yeah.
When I retire, I want to paint. I don't want to be burned out of that too, you know.
Yeah.
I progressed my painting through tattooing.
Yeah.
Early on, influences was Paul Booth for sure. Paul Booth and Guy Atchison and Philip Liu did a video back in, I think it was the 90s. It's called Art Fusion, and I haven't really been inspired by a video more than that one itself. And I really liked when that part of the industry developed, you know, bringing multiple different mediums together and styles. And I was hooked when I got that video. And those guys were big giants that were influences of mine for sure.
Didn't you win like multiple awards with your colour realism and horror and things like that? How many do you think you've won now, Sirris?
In total?
Yeah.
6. I don't know. A couple hundred, I think is what I'm at. In multiple different categories though, not just horror.
Yeah, I can see some for black and grey and portraits and...
I've even got a first place traditional in there.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
When these guys, when the traditional guys always talk about the realism guys, I've been in that. That's where I started. I started there. One of my favorite ones is a first place new school at Hell City, 2007, which was Joe Capabianco, Josh Woods. It's Hell City. There's countless numbers of grimy, countless numbers of new school artists there. Like, I was so freaking nervous when I when I showed that piece out, like almost threw up when I was in the audience. I didn't have a booth. I was a nobody back then. I'd only been tattooing for 5 years, you know, and I would always go there and just show work. And when I won it, it's in that case over there. When I won it, I went up and had, because you know how Hell City has artists design their trophies. I don't know if you knew that. So every year they do the glass acrylic trophies, and it's artwork from one of the artists that's done the show. And Joe Capo did them that year. So I won a New School Award that Joe Capo designed and then had him autograph it. And he was like, oh, that's super cool. I never autographed an award before. I was like, well, it's your art, dude. So it was super cool. That's when I met Joe, and we've been cool ever since too.
That was amazing. Yeah, it must be really nice to like meet someone who you've looked up to and then be able to win their award and get that recognition and validation from someone.
Absolutely. Because at that time was before I was capable of doing realism. So I was more new school. Yeah. You know, stylized, warped drawings, thick outlines, thin outlines, you know, multiple color blends. It was just that transition from traditional to like a surrealism, you know, that one right in the middle of that new school. It's still a big popular style. Yeah. I just don't like being stagnant. I'll learn a style, well, move to the next. I don't know where I'm gonna go now, you know. I can't do your work, that's for sure. I'm not doing dots. That's too time consuming for me. I've tried it a couple times. I was like, nah, that's not for me.
So how did you achieve so much in 20 years with hundreds of awards and a multi-artist studio?
Gave up everything. Like literally. I was playing semi-pro football when I started. Playing softball, you know, I grew up an athlete. So when I started this, I soon realized I had to, you know, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. You know, that's why you can meet guys that have been tattooing 30 years and they're still tattooing the same way they were at year 4, you know, because they're not putting anything into it. They're just going to work, collecting a check and going home. Again, I did a lot of private study, you know, seeking out artists, lots of seminars. I've probably taken 50 seminars at least. Because every time I would go to these shows, I would go to shows and not have booths. I would just travel there, bring people there, show work, take seminars, stand behind people. I'd stand behind people. I mean, I remember watching Mike DeVries when he first started doing these full day, single session, color by number style portraits. You know, I saw him do his first one. I was like, no way, he cheated. No way, he had to have outlined that before he came, you know. I didn't understand. I've never seen it before. And then when I saw him do a stencil, I was like, oh, that's it. It's over. That's how they do it. You know, from a kid, I was extremely good at color by number. They would just be different. I was blending the colors. It wasn't just like all the block. It didn't look like a stained glass window when I was done. So when I saw that, I was like, that's it, perfect. I'm going back and studying that now, and that's where it started. And fortunately, you know, it was also based on the time of the era I came into the industry. I came into perfect time. It was a really good transition where it was that new school was transitioning into the realism. It was starting to get more popular, the color realism. You know, you had guys like Tom Renshaw and Bob Tyrrell doing black and gray realism already. You know, Dino Cook was doing some underwater color stuff, but it wasn't just like kaboom like it is now, you know. So I got in at the right time and really just pushed hard at it. Like, I wouldn't want to come into the industry now. It'd be very difficult because everybody's good, you know. You got to damn near be a Picasso on canvas before you can even come into the industry now. I still, to this day, you know, even with all the programs out there to make stenciling them easier, I still do them by hand. That's probably why my hands and elbows are wrecked, you know, from the pressure you have to apply to do so. But I feel like it's the only really true way to break down that color palette. I'll go as far sometimes, you know. I don't do it as much anymore, but I would break it down color by number. Then I would do a color swatch on my tablet, break down each value, so you'd have a whole legend. Just pull those colors out and then just replace them where they came from. And because I really do my best to seek out that true, you don't get like my rendition of the portrait you want. It's that. If I see green there, I put that shade of green, not my rendition of that. But I've been to Philippines where we met, you know, which was an awesome trip. And I'm still good friends with multiple people from that trip. That was an awesome trip. To Canada, I love Canada, Mexico, Europe, Korea, and yeah, I think that's it. And all over the U.S. When COVID closed us down, I was doing, I think the year before they closed us, I did 27 shows. So it was a lot. I went from 27 to 0. The Philadelphia show was the last one I did in the beginning of 2020. One of my favorites, and it's with Pooch. And honestly, the main reason is because we found this Chinese restaurant in Calgary. Oh, it's amazing. We found this little hole-in-the-wall spot, second story. We found it like 1 o'clock in the morning, and the best food ever. So that's one of, it's kind of a weird reason, but we always talk, like even when he's there and I'm not there, he'll go to that spot and he'll FaceTime me and he's like, oh, I'm eating the ribs. I'm like, oh, you bastard. When I went to Europe, it was pretty cool because Renee doesn't like to travel with me. She doesn't, she's really ambitious, kind of has her own ambitions and dreams, right? So she doesn't like to just go and sit and be my little sidekick at shows. She's not a big fan of it, so she doesn't travel. If we go to cool places, you know, so London was a real cool one for me because it was one that she would go to, you know. She was like, you're not leaving the country without me. No, I'm definitely going to that. You don't get to go do that. And so I would like to leave the country again because it's cool. It turns into a vacation and take her to go do stuff. But she won't go to Detroit with me in the winter. She hates the cold. She won't go. We were in Ireland. It kind of sprinkled one day. Oh. And it was fine the rest of the day, so I was like, okay. Must be your lucky Irish blood or something. So it must be. Sunshine for you. Yeah, we just made sure we drank a lot of Guinness. Keep that blood thick.
And you organised your own tattoo convention before?
Did.
What was that like?
It was interesting, to say the least. It's very, very difficult to organize something internationally. Had a real good crew. Started off with a client's husband of mine, a music producer, and then shortly after, Sean Dowdell from Club Tattoo came aboard, and Sullen, you know, because we couldn't do something like that by ourselves. But it was really awesome to be at a beach resort in Cancun with live music. I haven't been to very many conventions where you could be tattooing and watching a concert at the same time. You know, they dimmed all the lights. Everybody had lights like these. So it was kind of awesome when you were on stage during the concert looking up, because it was all elevated platforms. It looked like, you know, when people have their phones on and the lighters during concerts and whatnot, it looked like that, but with big tattoo lights. So it was pretty cool. It was different, for sure.
That sounds amazing.
It's unfortunate we're not doing it anymore, but...
Yeah, I hope to visit that one. It's a shame you're not doing it again.
No.
So it was in Cancun? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of music was there?
White boy reggae. like Sullen, or not Sullen, I'm sorry, Sublime with Rome, Dreadmar Eye, Collie Buds, The Green, shit. It was just 3 days of reggae. It was awesome.
That sounds so cool. Was it right on the beach there as well?
It was on one of the beach resorts at the Oasis. Yeah, there was a big list of big time artists there. You know, we had Nico there, we had Val Taboo was there, which is difficult to get her at a convention. You know, she didn't leave the Ukraine very often. You know, she went around in Europe, but outside of that, like, she didn't leave there very often.
Yeah.
So it was good to have her. And we had free seminars for every day. Carl Grace, Steve Butcher, Nico. There's a huge list. There's like 15 of them. All gave out free seminars the whole time.
Amazing.
So it was really awesome.
Were they all Sullen artists, or was it like a
Majority of them.
Majority.
Yeah, there was a lot of Sullen artists, but then there was some randoms in there as well.
What's the tattoo scene like in Phoenix, Arizona?
It's different. Yeah, there's still a lot of egos here. You know, a lot of beefing. I'm sure it's like that everywhere, but it's pretty apparent here. It's becoming better. It wasn't before because there's no regulations here, so you don't have to have a bloodborne pathogen. You don't have to have nothing. There's no license, nothing. So anybody can tattoo here, and everybody does. You know, there's over 350 tattoo shops in the metropolitan area, which is crazy. Because I can really only think of about 20 to 25 reputable shops. You know, so it's scary to get tattooed here. You know, but it's becoming better. Lots of people are moving here. Bigger talents are coming here to help the scene.
Yeah, I hear a lot of people are moving from California here now.
Yep. Josh Duffy came out here from Vegas. Phenomenal artist. Lots of them, you know. I don't get out much. I coach youth football and just tattoo now, so that's what I do.